Anybody else got other questions? Yeah.
This past August at Linux World, the panel on interoperability, the Microsoft individual said that they really didn't feel that standards were advancing the state of the art, and they just kind of got bureaucratic red tape.
They didn't feel like who was state of the art?
The Microsoft officer who came to this conference.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, how do you see Microsoft, since they've got so much funding in robotics, do they see them as a proponent of these standards, or someone who would fight against these standards?
Oh, gee. Put me on the spot. I think they're going to push. Again, I think they've built. It's an integrated development environment, and it's a theory of programming, as you saw the keynote, and it's a communications platform. I look at it like an operating system. They have an IDE on top of it. I think if the industry moves forward with an object model, Microsoft has no choice but to get in line and use it as well. Because if that's what everybody's on, and they want to sell their IDE and their communication protocol, they're going to have to plug into it as well. That's what I would like to see happen, is people get together and agree and say, okay, if there's an object model, but we just need to sit down and say, what do we need to know for a motor? How are we going to store it? What's the XML file going to look like? You know, have some people build some, what would I call it, interpreter or library that pulls it in. Throw me a bone up here. We often heard like Python's a good language to use because you can use it in lots of different places. But you need something that's going to basically create the instance of the robot in real time. The thing is, you can choose whatever you want. You can build it in-house, you can use whatever language you want. If you want to use MSRS to do it, that's fine. The point is, let people be where they want to be. Let them be where they want to be comfortable. And that's what I like about looking at the standards from this standpoint, is that they're completely agnostic. We don't care. But it works. It works in every single scenario. And it allows you to have your configuration files and vastly different robots. And it doesn't matter. You can think at a higher level, and it gets us to that point. So, did I answer your question? So Microsoft can play. I don't think they have to dominate the area. I don't think they need to squish this.
Do you think they will play? I think this is more of a question.
I don't know. I think Microsoft, we do a lot of different things with Microsoft. And as a small business, I've had a lot of luck with them, had a lot of fun with them, and found that there's a change in the culture going on. A lot of people we talk to are making efforts to not be the old Microsoft. Really, I believe that's true. They've done nothing but good by us. Whether they'll continue to have that attitude in robotics. Absolutely. There was an article in the paper today about how they are trying to become friends with Silicon Valley, and who knows? I hope it stays that way. I think it's wise if they do. I think that in robotics, we're the kind of crowd that really isn't going to want to put up with someone coming in and trying to be a bully. I think it would be, denied very, very quickly. So even if it's not Microsoft, if it's somebody else, if someone comes in and tries to say, I am the standard and this is it, everyone else calls it bullshit, right? If engineers trying to convince engineers is hard. So
how are you going to evangelize that? I mean, do you have a?
I'm evangelizing this right now by coming here and talking about it. We've got proof of concepts of this, and I should say this: we've got proof of concepts of this stuff in-house that we did. And we don't have the resources to keep going there, so we need people that either want to throw some money at it or people want to raise their hands in the
foundation or a nonprofit.
No, but I think that maybe that's the way to do it. I want some people that have done this before that could advise, get involved, and do that. And we do have some friends that with IEEE that can do that. And I think that's what we need to do, is get people together, and I want to find the right professionals that can help figure it out. And you're really just a small group to begin with, I think, to get the ball rolling. We've got a lot of people that are interested in doing this. I've got the puzzle pieces for this. So, and I should say that if you're interested in more of this and want to read more about the pieces, drop by the website, Trossen Robotics. Go to the tutorial section. There's a brief intro about PC-based robotics, and then underneath that, essentially a large white paper about what we call the Trossen Robotics system, or it's our approach, and it's this. And I encourage people to pass it on to your friends. If you have resources that you think can make this happen, let's start talking. Let's get people involved. And that's what I'm doing here today. Is we used to work a lot on this stuff in-house a lot, but we're just a small company, so I'm kind of throwing it out there to the world. And I think this is a good solution. I think it's something that more and more people need to hear. We'll see what happens, I guess. Any more questions? You, since you're closer than you.
Are you doing anything with the OMG and their robotics?
No, we haven't really talked to them yet.
Okay.
No, that'll be part of one of the next steps.
Yeah, they're studying the same problem.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people on. Yeah.
Could you define those terms?
Object management group?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's another standards body, and it's probably more applicable than IEEE, which is IEEE is hardware and OMG is more standards. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's somebody who needs to get in on a game. You know. But I'd like to get a little further along getting it finished and then present it to them at that point. Yes, sir. Just the motor types, you know, different types of actuators. I had the same fear as you're talking about, thought, man, we'll never do this. I mean, a lot of people tell me we couldn't. When we did our proof of concept model, we pulled it off with no more than 12 parts. You know, a rod is a connection between 2 points. And you can imagine that you can take any number of rods to build any sort of complex structure that you want to. We use a rod, a deck, a joint. What else, Alex?
Rod, deck, joint. Well, we had 2 different
You know,
types of joints.
A robot is an object model itself. There's like 4 or 5 actual
Appendage.
components. Well, we broke that apart from the separate area, which was how do you render it. So you have more rendering parts. You have balls and cylinders and all sorts of stuff there. But that's almost like a suit you put over the skeleton. Because the skeleton of a robot is where all of your points of articulation are. So you think about it, imagine a skeleton. You're defining where those joints are and the positions of those joints in between. So
Sorry, it sounds like you're talking about a simulator. Did you guys write a simulator?
No simulator. It's that's the actual structure of your robot. So if you have a robotic arm, you're going to define your joints. And you're going to define
like a
your robots.
SolidWorks description or something.
Well, when you throw a visualizer on top of it, it's going to look just like that. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Is like, you know, when you get to a world like this where everyone's on standard, you can have many different companies with their visualizer tools that they're going to sell. You can go to the store and buy 10 different ones and pop them on. They read the object model and make the visualization tool. If you want to have a drag and drop sort of interface, you can click on it and drag it around. It's going to send back that information to your object model and say, somebody's trying to move me. So, you know, to answer your question, I guess, I think it's possible. I think you can cover 99% of it out there with a very basic model. You just make the parts very, very simple, very small. You get down to the atoms of it. And then you don't have to worry about it, because then if you have a part that's complex, you're adding a couple of those atoms together to create it. And it's just another, you know, collection. Anybody else? I think we're done. Thank you very much for coming and listening.